Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to my channel. Today I am here with a makeup book review, and today we are discussing Children of Virtue and Vengeance. And as you can see, we were very inspired by the cover. So for those who are new, I haven't done these in a while, so I'll let you know what it is. I'll try to include the skip point here so you can skip if you want to skip this introduction. So the way my makeup reviews work is A, there are spoilers. B, I never really know how they're going to go. Sometimes I talk about the book writing. Sometimes I talk about the characters. Sometimes I just talk about whatever I want to. And in this particular one, I'm talking about whatever comes to mind. I do find myself babbling a little bit in this, and to me, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, there are spoilers. These are my opinions. You don't have to agree with them. If you agree or don't agree and want to leave me a comment, that's awesome. I do appreciate actual conversation and actual dialogue. So let's converse. Let me know what you guys feel like down below in the comments. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this tutorial. All right, guys. So, like I said earlier, I'm sure we are reviewing Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. This is the second book in her Children of Blood and Bone series. I definitely did a makeup review for the first video, or for the first book. And if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link up here. I'm here to talk about the second book and do some makeup. So obviously we're taking it from the cover. This cover is even better than the first cover, in my opinion. The colors on it is just so vibrant. I wish I had a gray wig to put on for this video, but I don't. So we're going to do it anyway. But we're going to be incorporating the teals, the reds, and the golds, and trying to see what we come up with. I'm kind of excited. I haven't done a more creative, makeup look in a while. I've been keeping my makeup pretty basic, but we're going to really go in here. So obviously I'm gonna try to remember to put the makeup that I'm using on the screen because I kind of want to keep this going. But yeah, so obviously this is spoilers. This is the second book in the series. So I'm not going to censor anything. I'm just going to talk about everything, even the ending, because the ending and I need to have a lot of conversations. So this book starts off right after the ending of the first book. So in the ending of the first book, Zele, Amari, and Zane managed to bring back magic, which is like, yay, magic. But also, unfortunately, it brings on a new problem. Because now Amari seems to be glowing with some magic of her own, which we learn in the book too. Amari is not the only one. A lot of the royalty people who didn't originally have magic, they're now with magic, and it's not all peaches, clearly. Oh, I'm going in with my Warrior 2 palette for the reds. So, yeah, not only does Amari have it, but her crazy mama got it too. But I'm gonna try to stick to the story. What we learn, which I was kind of disappointed about, is that Anan is still alive. They found him in time to save his life. How they managed to save his life without healers, I don't know. But I guess maybe they kidnapped him. I don't know. Who knows? So the whole time before everything, Amari is preparing to basically announce that she's taking the throne, which cool, I guess. So in the beginning, Amari, I remember saying in my last video that I didn't like Amari got on my nerves. Like, I found her to be weak, but she kind of made up for it by the end. You know, even going as far as to kill her brother, or kill her father for killing her brother. You know, like, I felt like Amari really came through. However, in this book, the whole royal family can kick rocks, but Amari specifically, because we still got the 3 standpoints in this book. We still got Zele, Anan, and Amari. The problem is, all 3 of these story points were not as cohesive to me as they were in the first one. I just felt like everybody had gone through so much in the first book, and everybody was processing it. Basically, this book was like processing trauma, basically, is what this book was. It was just like, wow, like, we're seriously going to sit here and like Zelle is hurting. She just lost her daddy. She regrets bringing back magic. She feels like she's lost so many people, and as the story goes, she loses more people, and you're just like, sis, I kind of agree with you. Like, you kind of have lost like a lot of things for magic. But I will say, I wasn't annoyed by Zelle's character. I understood her emotions. I understood why she was so depressing, because homegirl was depressed, and it felt like, wow, like, this is Black trauma. Like, you do what you do for your people, and then like you have to deal with the repercussions of it later. So I felt that very strongly. I was like, dang, like, I understand why Zelle is so over it. But at the same time, I don't know what it is. Okay, so in the first book, I absolutely hated that Zelle and Anon got together in like 0.3 seconds of just trying to kill each other, you know? So I was happy that he was dead, because I was like, okay, this will give Tomi a chance to like fix it, because like that relationship happened way too fast. It didn't make any sense for why. It didn't make actually none of it made sense, but yeah, I'm using the Zulu palette right now. It didn't make any sense at all. It was like, didn't y'all just try to kill each other like 3 pages ago? Like, we are in the same chapter. But the annoying relationship this time was Amari and Zane. And don't get me wrong, Big Brother Zane is still one of my favorite characters. I felt like in this book, his presence was missed. Anybody who read the book, I think you might agree. He was such a sub character he was such a subplot in this book. He was literally there for Amari's part of the book. Before, I felt like, yeah, Zane didn't have magic or anything, but Zane was that dude in the first book. Like, Zane really came through and did what he had to do. But in this book, I felt like he was just there to be obsessed with Amari. Like, he was the he was the only one who felt like she should be queen. He was the one pretty much gassing her up when everybody else was telling her, like, you know, sit down, have several seats. Now, I will say the one thing that I really liked about this book, but we'll talk about that in a second, but the one thing that I liked in the book is the magic part was explained. So obviously I don't have a background in West African religions. To be honest, Children of Blood and Bone was the first time that I ever even really thought about West African religion. So like the Orishas and all that kind of stuff. So like, I've kind of looked into it just because I find it interesting. Like, it is a very interesting and complex religion. And then when I went to Bahia, which is the Black part of Brazil, they have a very high West African presence too. But I recently learned that the way that they practice is not exactly the same as Yoruba. I think I said that right, Yoruba people in Africa. And I learned that some Nigerians feel like Tomi did not represent their people and their religion appropriately, that she kind of made a mockery of it. So it's like, I got to kind of remember that as an outsider, somebody who doesn't practice that, or I'm not Nigerian either. So like, I look at this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. But like, they are actually saying that, like, you know, like, it was marketed as like a Nigerian book, but she's not. Well, this is the thing. It's weird for me to say she's not really Nigerian because she was raised American. I don't like that narrative, because I was raised in Japan and I was told that I'm not Black because I was raised in Japan. Like, so I don't like that kind of narrative, and I'm not going to push that kind of narrative, especially on my channel. So there's that. But I think I'm gonna go with a little bit of purple. I always do purples. I don't know why. I don't know. But So there's that. I don't know how well this was explained. The connections to the Orishas I always still find very interesting. I loved that in this book, Mama Agba is still strong, except I'm gonna try to keep going. So in this book, you get to see more magic. We don't see a lot of connector, and that's because I noticed that I do wonder, why did Omari and Anan have the connector power, but their mom was a grounder? And like, why was it that that Amari and her mom were connectors, but Anan couldn't even really use his power without hurting himself when he was doing it so well in the first book? So there are some plot holes to me just in that regard. I don't understand why Anan's powers didn't work when Anan was the only one using his powers without any repercussions before in the first book. That part I don't understand. I don't think we're ever going to get a full explanation of that. I will say Anan trying to redeem himself throughout the entire book I found to be absolutely annoying. So I don't know how to explain this. So Anan is so broken because he fell in love, because y'all know I don't believe that was love. He fell in love with Zele, who was supposed to be the evil one, and he's recently learning that like his family is trash, and so he's coping with that kind of idea while also trying to be a good king. And it's like, he was so weak. He's so weak. He's so weak. He can't think for himself. It's like every time he gets an idea, his mom could literally be like, and I know, and he'll be like, well, okay. Or his friend / cousin, Ojore, he hates the magical people because the burners burned his family alive. Okay, cool. I understand that. But then you learn that the reason that his parents died is because Anan's crazy mama set it up to pretty much give his father the motive to turn into the tyrant that he became. There's so much. Like, Anan's mother, she was a great villain. Like, she had conviction. She had just this ridiculous ideology that somehow she was totally correct, and everything that she was doing was for the good of the kingdom. And cool, I totally get that. I loved her character development. She went from being a non-factor in the first book to being like that crazy HBIC in the second book. The way that she used her magic to set it off in the beginning of the book starts off like straight out. Like, you learn very quickly that her mother has powers and that her mother is more than willing to kill, and she will literally suck the life out of other titans to make her power stronger because she's a connector. Oh, and speaking of connectors, so the connectors, from what I understand, they can pull power from Titan connectors can pull powers from the other alike titans. However, it drains the life force of the titans that they take it from. However, with the actual magi and the magical people, if they connect to each other, they have to, like, to bond that and to be without killing each other, they actually have to do like a sacrifice. And as the story progressed, I felt like that might have been like a really weird plot holder, because as we all know, Amari decides that she's going to continue to listen to her abusive daddy's voice as her voice of reason. I don't know. I feel like if you spent an entire book running away from an abusive man who you felt was going to take your life, and then you go and kill the man, why in God's good green earth would you listen to the voice of him in your head and think, he's definitely right, I should totally do this? Like, Amari aggravating. I'm like, sis, you listening to your abusive daddy's voice? Don't you think you got a problem that you should probably address? Like, your dad was abusive and crazy. You ran from him in fear. Him telling you to strike in your head should have been the first moment where you should have sat your tail down and been like, maybe I'm not supposed to be queen. But she was gung-ho obsessed. Oh, and then the gullibility of Amari and Anon. Because, like, they go through this thing in the book where I feel like they're in denial about who they are, what their family has done, and they feel like because they're the newer generation that they can fix it. Ignoring the cries of the people that were persecuted, like, we don't trust you, we don't want you anywhere near us, like, we don't want anything to do with you. And Amari just refuses to listen. She legit messed up. I don't like how this was kind of brushed over, but in the book, she challenges the connector chief to become chief, and she ends up using her powers that Zele had just trained her how to use against the Magi that Zele said you promised you wouldn't use it against. And then not only that, but she lost control and sent this girl basically to the ICU, and then we don't really hear about her or how she's doing. We don't hear anything else about her for the rest of the book. Like, she was just a plot point to basically get destroyed, and I don't know, I was not feeling that at all. For some reason, that really just rubbed me the wrong way. It was almost like because I felt this book had a lot of correlations to just being Black in America, so I was really just like, wow, like, we're just gonna discard we're gonna discard the persecuted as a plot point. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. Let me get something else. Okay, so I needed to get some red because we're gonna mix the regular red with Warrior 2 red and see, because I need to do some blending. This color is vibrant. I really like it. But yes, so now let's talk about the teenage love affairs that were in this book. So Rion, I don't know how to say his name. I don't listen to it in the audiobook, but the pirate from the first book turned out to be one of my favorite characters in this book. And the reason being was he was the relatability point for Zele. Also, I need Zele to stop falling hard for every guy that shows her attention, but I know this is a book and I know that this is YA, so that's kind of what happens in YA. But I really need Zele to, like, pump her brakes. Like, a little fast thing, like, you just be falling for everybody. I did like the fact that so Zele actually was the chief of her Reaper clan. And to me, I loved that part of this book. I loved her showing that love and affection because she finally found people who were like her and she wanted to do everything to protect them. My heart literally broke for Mazali. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not going to even talk about it. Like, it brings emotions inside of me. I was so mad. Like, I was like, why did he have to go? Why? Like, why would y'all take one of my favorite, like, if this was a movie, he would be that one character that everybody loved. And that, like the way that Brian Griffin died on Family Guy, and everybody was like, you killed off Brian Griffin, and then he magically popped back up. It's the same kind of thing that I feel like with Mesali, because he was such a uplifting character. You could really hear the happiness that his character provoked in the story. And I just, again, another one that we were introduced to that I felt really would have added value to the story that was just used as a plot point. Like, after his death, it was another shift in everything. Like, every time a Magi was hurt, it was a shift in the story. And it was like, wow, like, we're still doing the persecution thing. We're still doing this kind of principle where, like, they're still not treated the best. And I don't know. We're gonna figure this out together, I guess. So another thing that I just found really annoying was, again, Amari, but Amari and Zayn's whole relationship, I was glad that it's over. Or rather, I'm glad that she acted in her true royal fashion. She actually tried to wipe out an entire village. But I do like the whole unity message where it was like, when the Magi came together and when the Magi came together and began connecting and working together, that was when they could save the people and bring people back to life and all that stuff. And I felt like that was a really good scene. I wanted Amari to die. Y'all can't tell me that it made more sense to take away the only true elder of the Magi's and kill her. These are only like they are kids. Like, why would you leave everything to kids? Hormonal teenagers at that. Also, hold on. If y'all are ever wondering, me and eyeliner are not the best of friends all the time, but I'm going to have to fix that up with some concealer because I really like this eye, so I don't really want to change it. So we're just going to keep it, and I'll fix it in a second. So let's talk about the ending. So everything comes to a standstill when the realization hits that Anan needs to end the war. That's basically everybody's thought process is we need to hit him now because we need to end the war, and the only way to do that is one way or another. So Anan sets up a trap basically, and Zele and them think they know what he's doing with this trap. So they're like, well, Anan is here, so we're going to send the elders here, and we're going to send y'all to Lagos to like figure it out and like take over everything. Cool. While here, this is right after Anan has learned that his mother orchestrated everything that happened where his father's first family is murdered and that Ojore's family is murdered by burners. That pretty much spurs all the things that motivated his father to do and be cruel and the horrible father that he was. So he learns this of his mother, and unfortunately Ojore hears it too. And this is where we learn that Ojore is, I forgot what it's called, but he controls metal. And I found this to be very interesting because the entire book he is wincing every time he sees Anan's hair. He winces, or he's like, I don't like what they do, but we have to do what we have to do for like the country or whatever. And like, this is the whole time he is like adamantly doing this. And then it shows that he actually has Titan powers. So my thing is, his entire character is like, for the good of the country, da 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 da. Then all of a sudden he busts out, oh, well, by the way, I'm actually this. So like, you've been wanting to fight on the front lines this whole time and you never mentioned that you were a Titan. Yeah. I just thought that it was a plot hole. It was another plot device where the Magi had to die for things to progress. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was so ridiculously annoying. And then, when his mom killed him and she was like, he was a traitor, I was like, sis, so we're not even, you were just like grinning at this boy, calling him your other son and all that. But the moment he finds out you're trash, he's a traitor. I was like, man, the mom's conviction was one of the best parts of this book. She truly, truly felt that she was in the right and that nobody could understand what she was doing because she was doing it all for the good of the country. So Anan decides that after this siege was over, that he was going to be abdicating the throne and giving it over to the people, because after his mom's revelation, Anan is shook. He is just like, you know what? Maybe everybody was right. My family is boo-boo trash. Maybe I shouldn't be ruling. Maybe we aren't the ones meant to rule. And so while he's telling his mom this, he's also drugged her, which I found to be very smart because that woman is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And so she's passed out. Okay, so I guess I need to backtrack. So Rayon, whatever, his crew, he lost an arm. Bae lost an arm trying to work with Zele. And I'm like, dang. But there's a scene where, like, his crew and him, his crew has confronted him. They're basically trying to coup. And he pretty much whips they behind and was like, try it again if you want to, I'll kill you. But I can't stop thinking about the scene where they're talking and his henchman's like, it's already been done. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, we've already accepted the money. And I'm just like, what's going on? And then at the end of the book, when Zele finally, like, they break into the castle because they need to free the other magi. And then she confronts Anon. And Anon has done, I'm not even gonna touch on like a lovey-dovey, corny love crap that somehow he managed to pull off while still in the castle. Like, that's a weird plot hole situation. But he did say that if he met her again, he would not fight her. And so he put his hands up, and then Rian comes running down the stairs with a mask to put on. But before she could put it on, everybody passes out. And they wake up basically on a slave ship. I mean, what other explanation is there? So this is my theory about what happened. And I love Rian. I never remember how to say his name. I love him. I thought he was one of the better characters of this book. But I feel like when Amari crossed him, and that scene where he saw that scene where Anon saw his mom talking to him in the dungeon, that they were discussing contingency plans, and she was paying them to make sure that the contingency plans went through. I believe that was Rayon's crew. I believe that they definitely had a contingency plan in play. And Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff's mother definitely was the one. Wow, I'm running out of concealer. I definitely have to go do a Sephora run at one of these points. But yeah, I did not like the ending. Like, the first ending in the first book, I was left like, oh my gosh. This one, I was like, did you really just put all these boys... Did you just put all the persecuted people on a slave ship, sis? Like, a ship? I know it wasn't actually a slave ship. I know somebody's going to say it in the comments. I know. I'm just saying that it was just like, wow. Like, I'm not a fan of the whole blackout, wake up storylines. I'm very critical of them. Like, the way that Everlasting Rose did it, I was not a fan. I felt like that was just lazy writing. I don't know how to feel about the ending of this book because this is the second book. And I know that a lot of second books in a trilogy have issues with, like, just not being as good as the other books. So I'm trying to give that kind of aspect. And my battery is about to die. So hold on, please. All right. So we need to do some settings and some things. I think I need to move my book because I'm about to get powder everywhere. Let's see. Where were we? Oh, yes, the ending. I don't know how to feel about the ending. I felt like the book had some good points, but I didn't enjoy it as much as CBB. I honestly don't know what to expect from Tomi for this third book. I don't know. I'm not as optimistic as I was with the first book. And also another thing is, like, I felt like the first book was, like I said, it gave me Avatar meets Nigeria vibes, and I'm all for that. This book was basically like dealing with Black trauma after a major tragic event. It was just trauma. Like, all the main characters were hurting. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I don't know how to feel. It's like, I want to say, like, oh, this book was so amazing, but it wasn't. Like, I didn't rush to record a video like I did last time. Last time I was like, oh, I should post it now. I'll get the views. I don't really care about the views. I care more about the thoughts. And the thoughts were that it just wasn't, it didn't hit like the first one. I still don't think it was a terrible story. Now, that is definitely not what I'm saying. But I do see some parts that probably could have used improvement. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm not giving up on Tomi. I do want to know why they're on a ship, sis. Even though like there were a lot of alluding to leaving from Zele, who just wanted to be done with everything, and she was like, we don't have to stay here, we could leave. We could always go, we don't have to stay here. So there was a lot of that. And I felt like, I mean, now that I had time to think about it, I'm like, was that foreshadowing? Was that Tomi just kept basically trying to tell us like this is what's about to pop off, you know? I don't know. It's a lot of questions. The ending of this book didn't make me go, oh, I have to see more. This book made me go, wait, what? So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It's so many thoughts and things in this book that just left me kind of speechless. And I put way too much contour on the top of my face. But yeah, so let's just do some makeup for a while because I don't know. Okay, so I guess the next question is, did I like the book? I found the book enjoyable. It kept me on my toes. I felt very anxious while reading it. I was emotional on certain scenes. That Mama Agba scene, I was not ready for at all. Like, the emotion, like, I was not happy. I was like, I wanted Amari to die. Just kill them. I'm tired. I'm tired of her and her brother. Just kill them so we don't have to worry about either one of them. Kill them, please, is the way that I was thinking. Think I might have put too much. Let's blend that out. But yeah, I was like, just kill Amari. Just kill her. She don't know how to act. She listening to her daddy voice. Kill her. That was genuinely my thought process through this book. And it's just like, the fact that Mama Agba decided that she would be better to go, I was like, I can't do this. I was like, how? No. I mean, I was with Zele. Like, can we just kill Amari? So, yeah. I was, oh man. Amari. You missed out, girl. You got saved by a blessing, because there was no reason for Mama Agba to die, and you know it. Like, whew, I was so not happy with Mama Agba dying. I just felt like these kids are so alone, and like, who can really afford any more loss like that? So there was that. All right, so we're gonna finish up here, and I will give my final thoughts when my makeup is completely finished. So, be back soon. So this is the final look. I like it. I have this thing where I don't like, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna wear red, and then I put on red lipstick, and y'all really can't tell me nothing right now. Like, I feel like it really pops with the teal. I don't know how the teal color is showing up on like how it's going to show up on camera. Me looking at the lens, it looks more blue, which is kind of annoying because that means it'll kind of look like one of the tutorials I did, I think, for Sea Witch, which is super annoying. But I do want to know your thoughts. What did you think of CVV? Are you coming back for the third book? Are you not? Let me know down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. And until the next video, guys. Bye.